2008 BMW 335i, front brake pads, rotors, and sensors replacement. I'm Brian Eslick from How To Automotive. I'm going to walk you through the steps of replacing those. Okay, to get started, you want to get your vehicle up in the air. If you're doing this at home, use floor jacks and jack stands and get the front wheels off. And when you're taking these lug nuts off of these European style cars, they have these stud style bolts. And when you take the last one off, it's most likely going to fall, or when you go to put the wheels back on, it's like difficult to balance and float the wheels. So they make this tool called the wheel stud pilot tools, and they're just studs that screw in there, and they come in a kit like this, and they do just about all the European cars. I recommend you get a kit, a set of these. Makes life easy. I'll put a link for these in the description. So in this video, I'm gonna film the driver's side brake replacement. And it's going to be the exact same process for the other side. The reason why I'm going to film this side is this side has the sensor for the pad. The first thing I'm going to do is disconnect the pad lining sensor. So right here on the inner fender well here behind the strut, that's badly leaking on this particular car. You're going to pop this little door open. There's a couple little tabs like this. You pop the door open like that. And here on the caliper, on the inside of the brake pad, you'll see the sensor coming out. You'll follow it around and you'll pop it out of the little catches that it's held into. So it's every couple inches there's a little rubber grommets like this. So you'll pop it out and you'll follow it all the way around until you get to the sensor here in the door, and you'll unplug it. And the way you unplug it is just by squeezing the little tab right here and pulling the two connectors apart. Once you get it disconnected, you just feed it, pull it through, and then you can let it hang, or if you choose to, you can take it out, and if it's in your way, you can break it off. We're going to replace it with a new one. Now that I got my pad wear indicator disconnected, I went ahead and turned the wheel. Since I'm working on the driver's side, I turned it to the right. That way it gives us a little more access back here to work on. And the next thing we need to do is pop this clip out right here. And you're going to do that by taking a flat blade screwdriver and putting it in right here and prying it like that, and then prying this little ear outwards, and then once you get it out, it'll pop out just like that. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pry this caliper piston in a little bit. That way we can get the caliper off once we unbolt it. And the reason why we need to pry it in a little bit is because this rotor has a lip on it and it won't come off unless you pry it in. So right here on top of the cage right here, if you put the screwdriver right here and give it a pry like this, it'll pull the caliper towards you and push the piston in at the same time. And you'll pry it here and pry a little here on the bottom right here, and that'll pry the piston in evenly. And there's a little groove right there where the screwdriver will fit perfectly in there, just like that. And you pry it over as far as you can possibly get it, because it has, that lip is quite large, and to clear it, you have to pry that piston in quite a bit. Once you got the piston pried in a little bit, now we need to go on the back side of the caliper. And just below the brake hose is a cap that you'll pry out like this. And then just above the brake hose, right here, there's another cap. Right here, you'll pop that out. And then you're going to remove the 7mm Allen bolt here and the 7mm Allen bolt here. And you're going to remove it all the way out. And the bottom one's going to be longer than the top one, so you want to keep track of that. Once you get them out, you're just going to set them aside for now. In a little bit, we're going to clean these all up, lubricate this portion of the slides, and put them back in. Now you can take the caliper and slide it off. And if you don't pry the piston in far enough, the bracket will hook right here. So you need to pry that piston in far enough just to clear the caliper. Once you get it off, you can just set it up here on top of the suspension like this. Now you can go ahead and remove the outer pad and set that aside. Now on the inside here, you're going to remove the 18mm bolt here and the 18mm bolt here, and this bracket right here will come off. Now there's going to be a little set screw here on the rotor. You can remove, it's a 6mm Allen bolt. Remove that, and then you could give it a little tap on the back of the rotor with a hammer and slide. So now I'm going to finish pressing the piston back into the bore of the caliper, and to do that, I'm just going to use a C-clamp like this. Leave the old pad in, put the C-clamp on the back, you screw the clamp in, and that'll pull the piston in. But before we do that, what I'm going to do is lower the vehicle down. And I'm doing some additional work on it, so I got the cowling all removed here, but on yours it's going to have a cover right here. You're going to pop this cover off, and underneath the cover will be the master cylinder. And what we're going to do is we're going to suck maybe 2 ounces or about 2 ounces of fluid out of the master cylinder. The reason why is when we push that piston back in, the fluid's going to go back up the line and back into the master cylinder. And if it's too full, it'll overfill and spill into the bay and possibly damage the cap. So you want to remove an ounce or 2 of brake fluid. Also, as we press this piston back in, we're not going to open the bleeder screw here. We're going to leave it shut. And when we do that, that fluid's going to go back up the line and into the master cylinder. And then when we're all done and have it all reassembled, what we're going to do is we're going to just pump the brake pedal, and that's just going to pump the fluid back from the master cylinder, back down the line, back into the caliper, and it'll push the pistons out and press against the rotors. And doing it this way, we will not have to bleed the brakes after we're done. After getting the piston all the way pushed back in, just remove your old pad and set aside. You're also going to want to inspect the piston boot and stuff and make sure it's not torn or anything like that. So now we're going to take our replacement rotor and go ahead and install it. This is the part numbers for it. I will be linking these up in the description of the video. This is also the brake pads that we're using on this vehicle. I'll also link this up and also with the pad wear indicator. So if you guys need to pick those up, you can look for the links in the description of the video. So some brands of rotors, when you buy them, they spray a little bit of oil on the rotor itself to prevent them from rusting on the shells. So if they have the oil on there, like a oily residue, I recommend you take a little brake clean and spray it off and wash off that oil, or use hot, warm, soapy water and wash off the rotors. So now you're going to line up the hole with the little countersink here, where the set screw went, with the hole on the hub, and slide it on and bolt it up. Now I'm going to take my caliper bracket and take a little wire brush and clean out the channels really good with the wire brush and get those cleaned up. And then after that, what I like to do is take a little bit of Seal Glide brake grease. It's a specially designed grease for brakes. I will link this up in the description also. So you take a small thin little dab of it and put it in the channels and real thin. If you put too much, it'll build up dust and stuff on it and cause the actual brakes to stick. But you want to put a little thin layer in there, like that. Then after that, what I do is on the bolt holes where the mounting holes are, I use Permatex blue thread locker, and I put a few little dabs of that in the holes. And this is like a little glue to help prevent the bolts from vibrating loose and backing out, a little extra security. And if, like I said, I put a little too much on here, so I'm gonna wipe some of this off. But all you need is a couple little dabs in there, and that'll reduce the risk of the bolts backing back out. So after that's said, you're going to take the bracket and you're going to reinstall it over the rotor and start the two big bolts in the back. So you can run these 2 bolts in and tighten them up. And when you get them run in and tightened up, you're going to torque them down to 80 foot-pounds. Now you can go ahead and install the outer brake pad like this. And then what we like to do here is put a little bit of that Seal Glide grease on the back of the shim, and that helps reduce squeaking. We'll also put a little bit of that on the inner pad too. You want to be careful not to get any on the surface of the brake pad. Now you're going to take your new pad and install it into the piston of the caliper by pressing it in like that. One last step we need to do, we need to lube these bushings where those pins slide through, and the best way to do that is take the pins itself, wipe them off, and then put a thin layer of that Seal Glide grease in, and then put them in there and kind of work them back and forth. So you'll put a thin layer of that grease on there and you'll work them back and forth like that and get that grease going through the boot there. And you'll do that for top and bottom. Now you can take the brake caliper itself and you can slip it back over the bracket. You want to make sure that the brake hose does not get twisted in the process. Now we're going to take those slide pins that we lubed up. The short one goes on top, and you'll put it in to the back, and you'll start that bolt and tighten it down to 30 foot-pounds. And the long one goes on the bottom. You'll tighten that down to 30 foot-pounds also. So now you're going to take the 2 caps like this and put them back over the little bushings and push those in. Now we're going to take this bracket and reinstall it. These little ears right here need to hook behind here and here. So it'll look like this. It kind of, and you also line up the right here in the slot right here. So you kind of put them in at an angle like this. You will get them as close as you can, and you'll tuck them behind there. And once you get them tucked in there, what you're going to do is put a screwdriver right here and pry it. As you pry it back, you're also going to keep one finger or thumb on it, pushing inwards. And once you get it cleared over that lip, you just push it all the way in, or you can use the screwdriver to push it in. And then there's a little catch in back there that it has to hook behind. So when you're done, it's going to be hooked under there like that, behind here, in here. And you can give it a little tug, make sure it's not going to pop back off. So now we're going to take our pad wear indicator, and we're going to install this in with that little nipple. So it's going to look like this as it goes in the pad. So you're going to line it up with the pad on the inside, the little slot, and you just press it in until it locks into place. You might have to give it a little wiggle. So once it's seated in there like that, then you can just take the wire and start routing it around. You're going to take the wire and route it around so it goes back into the little rubber, to the little grommets here and then here. And then on the back side here, you're just going to plug the two. So you're going to line up the little slots and push them together until you hear them click. So you kind of just twist them until and you'll hear them click, and then you'll re-secure the little back into the little plastic holder like that. And then you'll take the little door and you'll close the door and latch it on there. Now what we're going to do is reinstall the wheels and torque them down. You're going to do the exact same process on the opposite side, minus the pad wear indicator. It only has it on the one side of the vehicle. After that, you're going to lower the vehicle down and pump the brake pedal 6 or 7 times, and I'll get the fluid back into the calipers. You'll have a nice firm pad. You'll have a nice firm brake pedal. If for any reason you don't have a firm brake pedal, I recommend you bleed the brakes, but you should have a nice firm brake pedal. And that'll complete the job of replacing the front brake pads, rotors, and sensors on a 2008 BMW 335i. I'll be linking the parts and tools that I used in this video in the description. I'm Brian Eslick from How to Automotive. I'd like to thank you guys for watching my videos, encourage you to subscribe, invite you to head over to the howtoautomotive.com website for more valuable videos like this, and I'd like to thank you again for watching.